Hey everybody, welcome to the Anointed Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Terry Linscott. I am so grateful that you're joining me today. Today we're going to be talking about having no plan B. No plan B. There's no backup plan in our life. And I know that is not what everybody likes to have. We love to have plan B, plan C, plan D. But I do want to challenge you about this having no plan B today. And so before we jump into the content, I want to just ask you a couple things like I always do. First of all, if this is your first time or you have never subscribed to our channel on whatever platform that you're listening to, please do so and hit the little bell for notifications. We drop one of these every other Thursday, and this will give you the important alert that knows that we've dropped another podcast to help you better your leadership under the anointing of God. Also, we're going to be dropping here in the near future some bonus episodes. I'm getting ready to generate some different things and some short clips and things that I'm going to increase the podcast, and so you'll be able to know when those bonus episodes come. Also, if this content is really helping you, I would love to hear from you, whether it's a comment or it's a review or an email. You can go to my website, terrylinscott.com, and hit the contact us and find out and shoot me an email and send me some information and let me know how the content is helping you, or ask us a question. There is a Q&A button on the website you can click on, and we can answer some questions here on the air, or we can shoot you an email to give you a personal answer as well. Also on my website is you can request me to come. I've just done a couple talks with a couple different businesses, and I'm grateful for that I've been able to just share some leadership insights and wisdom with people and help advance certain companies and organizations. And so you can find that there as well. Lastly, I would love for you to do me a favor, and if this is really adding value, hit your share button. Whether it's a text message, send it by email, it's in a corporate conversation and a message thread. If it's a text message, send this information to somebody on your social platforms, social media platforms. Send this out so that people can gain the same content and same value as you're receiving in your life. Send it to your pastor, send it to a department head, send it to your boss, your CEO, send it to supervisors and managers of the company. Whoever it is, send this out. I appreciate that, and I'm excited about what God's doing in my life and in your life as you are applying leadership from the biblical perspective to increase your capacity. Hey, today we're jumping back in, episode number 55, and it basically says no plan B. It's a tough deal having a backup plan. I think we all love it. What if that don't work? Then we'll do this. What if this don't work? Then we'll do that. That's what we're going to deal with today. And I want to take you to the verse in Numbers chapter 20, in verse 7 through 12. It talks about Moses and the second time that he was to see water come from a rock. The first time is in Exodus 17. The first time the people were complaining that they needed water, the Lord told Moses, strike the rock. In Numbers chapter 20, we read the second time is that the Lord tells him, now, though it happened to you the first time, don't hit it this time. Take the staff in your hand and then speak to the rock. So the plan of God was the first time was strike it, the second time was speak to it, and water would flow. What we realize is this, there's a plan B, what's going to happen is we're always going to lean into plan B. And what's going to happen if I go to plan B? Then plan A will not succeed, and I won't be able to benefit from the fullness of our planning, of our vision, of our success. Plan Bs are simply this. Plan A is the optimum plan. This is the best way to do it. This is the most successful way of doing it. This is what Plan A stands for. So what it looks like is having a Plan A. Plan A is the best, most successful, the quickest, and the most rewarding and fulfilling way of doing it. However, Plan B is the second best. There should be never a second best. We should always have the best. I am not a participation trophy individual. I'm not interested in that. You may be if you're listening, but that's to each his own. In my opinion, I'm not interested in having participation. I want to be the number one. That's Terry's mindset. I win at everything I do. That's how I think. It may not be, but that's how I think is I'm not interested in just participating. I want to be winning. I want to be successful. I want to be the victor. And having a plan A is the best way of doing it. A plan B says, if it don't work, then I'm going to shift gears. Here's what happened with Moses. He came to the stage, to the moment of having water from the rock a second time, and he had plan A, speak to it. But then he leaned into plan B. Well, if I can't figure out how to speak to it, I'll do what I did last time and I'll get water from it. The problem is Moses, from that verse in verse 11 and 12, it basically says this: because you didn't do what I asked you to do, you're not making it into the promised land. You hinder your future by going with a plan B. Stick to plan A. I say it this way: if you have a plan B, you will always give into plan B. Always. If you have a plan A and no B, there's only one plan, you have no deviation. You have no ability to move from one place to the other. You have no ability. This is the only way to do it. Right now, I shared this in my last podcast. We're in a complete remodel at our church. Bought a 37,000 square foot facility, gave our facility away and to a church here locally in the same community. I'm a kingdom-minded man. I'm not in competition. And the Lord told me to give it to him, so I gave it to him. That was the plan. I could have sold it and paid for the remodel, but that's not what the Lord told me. The Lord told me to give it away, and what I made happen for somebody else, he'll make happen for me. And so we did that, and I'm sitting here and believing God. In the time of the recording, I'm watching God's hand move. I'm believing God to do everything he said he would do. I have no other plan. I don't have a bank lined up. I don't have an investor lined up. I don't have people that I'm going to asking them to help me. I'm trusting the Lord to do what he said he would do. Why? Because I have no plan B. If I have a plan B, then I have an option to go another route. And if I'm going to go another route, I might as well make that my plan A. Whatever that looks like, because whatever you have a plan B, you are sure to fulfill that plan, right? Here's what I mean. Having a plan B, here's what happens, is if you go back to plan to succeed, you've got to, the previous episode, you got to set the plan to go after things. You got to enjoy the journey. You can't deviate. You got to be patient. You got to be disciplined. You have to just keep swimming. Just keep doing it. And you'll stop swimming and jump out of one pool and go to another and have different experiences. You'll have to start all over. Just thinking of your plan B will reduce your chance of success. Just thinking about it. If I have two plans on the table, I'm just thinking about plan B reduces my chance of success in plan A. Why? Because it's effort, it's energy, it's time, it's consuming me, right? You've heard you can't effectively multitask. Really, you can't, because you cannot give 100% effort to two different entities, two different directions. You split it. It's a constant split. You could be doing multiple things at one time, but you're only doing one thing at a time. And most people think, well, I'm multitasking. It's impossible to give 100% effort to two different things, which means I'm only giving 50% effort. I'm not giving my all to a specific position, to a specific plan, to a specific moment, whatever that is. And so multitasking is just like having a plan B. You are exerting more energy trying to do two things at one time rather than effectively do one thing at a time, accomplish it to its fullness, and move to the next. And it will be quicker. It'll get there much faster than what you would if you would consider multitasking. It's impossible. I hear women all the time talk about, well, they multitask better than men. The reality is we don't. Women know how to concentrate on one thing while other things are happening better than men. That's Terry's opinion. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just telling you. Well, listen. A plan B is no different. It's the simple fact that you put effort into the thought process and planning you are exerting energy that could be used on the plan. If I have a plan B, I'm exerting energy, time, effort. And I should be eliminating plan B and sticking to plan A. I should be going after the plan. I'm going after the one thing. I'm not deviating. I'm using my own personal life as an example. I'm not having any other plan on using finances from anywhere else other than the Lord providing. And many of you all listening may not understand that concept, but you will hear the testimony in the next few episodes of how God supernaturally paid off this ministry, and it's debt free. Not because I borrowed, not because I begged, not because I got on and had a telethon where people just gave us money. No, I'm just doing what God told me to do, and God has to honor what He said He would do. And that's my plan. I don't have a plan B. I don't have a bank lined up. I don't have an investor lined up. I don't have anybody else. Why? Because I'm not going after the plan B. I don't have it. The reason why we have a backup plan or a plan B is because we really don't believe. Here's what happens, that our plan will work. That's the reality. Having a backup plan basically is saying I don't really have confidence in the plan, in the purpose, in the idea, or the vision. I don't have the real confidence that it's actually going to come to pass. That's why we have a plan B. That's why it's a backup plan, is we don't really believe it's going to come to pass. And if we don't believe it, then why do we expect anybody else to believe it? This is where we at with no plan B. Leadership requires this. It requires us to get to the point where we don't have any other option. We have one option. We're going in this direction. What if it don't work? What if it does? What if there's obstacles? Just move them out of the way. We just keep on plowing. We just keep on swimming. We just keep on moving forward in the plan. What happens if every time there's an obstacle that we deviate, then we're always going to be deviating because there's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be stress. There's always going to be opportunity for failure. There's always going to be. If in my failure I deviate, then what's going to happen is you're going to end up failing constantly rather than learning in the process of what you should have learned when the failure happened. So because our systems need to adjust, our abilities need to adjust, our timing needs to adjust, whatever that is, this is the biggest key. If we have a plan B, if we have a backup plan, what we're basically saying to everybody around us is we really don't believe that plan A actually is going to work. It's tough. It's tough to say that. It's tough to swallow that. But the reality is a plan B basically says, I don't even believe it. So why should I expect anybody around me to believe it? Come on, this is good content. This is good. I hope I'm helping you right now. I'm talking to Terry right now. And that's the reality, right? The pressures of life, listen, the pressures of life tend to push us into making decisions around a backup plan if I have it. The things that come against me, the no's, the inabilities, the problems, the issues in a remodel right now. In the remodel right now, what we're finding is that there's delays, there's issues happening, this is happening, that's happening. And if I have a plan B, then I'm going to follow that. On all of those pressures of life, they're going to push back. They're going to create problems in my life. And if I don't realize that those pressures are there to create the diamond, right, in my life and in my ministry and in the success, then I'm going to go with plan B. The pressures will push you into your plan B. They always will. But if you don't have one, they can only push you forward in what your actual plan is, right? The level of faith required to fulfill and push past the pressure is so intense. I just want you to realize that. To really believe in your vision, to really believe in your purpose, to believe in your organization, believe in your church, believe in your company, it takes a lot of intense energy and effort to see that when pressure comes that you push past it because you believe in it. If you don't believe in it, nobody else will believe in it. You can't expect them. So do everything you can to remove a backup plan in your leadership, in your business, in your church. Have a plan A and only plan A. Whatever the Lord has spoke to you, go after that. Don't deviate from it. Think about Jonah. Jonah was sent to Nineveh. He had a backup plan. I'm going to go to Tarshish. And it costed him. And this is the thing. It costed Moses. It costed Jonah. It costed Judas. Come on. It costed them these things. And so you have to realize, don't have a backup plan. Let's look at this. How do I eliminate the backup plan? How do I eliminate a plan B? Let's look at it. Number one, have an actual plan. I mean, you have to write something down. Luke chapter 14, 28 through 29. who in the right mind would build a tower? And this is Terry's interpretation or translation of it. Who in the right mind would build a tower without counting the cost, without planning it? Right? Unless you lay the foundation and then all of a sudden it gets blown away and now everybody's making fun of you. Have a plan. What is your plan? It could be the most unlikely, most crazy thought you can have, but just have a plan. Have a plan. On what? Based on the vision, based on what's on the inside of you, not based on resources, based on the vision. This is how I eliminate a backup plan, is plan according to the vision, a plan according to the vision, not according to my resources, not according to my intellect, not according to the people that are around me. Have a plan that fulfills the vision, not what is able to do today. The vision is growing. An organization is always growing. We're an organism. Every organization is an organization. The complex adaptive system theory says that. It's living and breathing. So you have to have a plan to move. It will move. So don't base your plan on what you have. Base it on where you see yourself going. Base the plan. Well, what happens if it don't work? I promise you it will work if you just have a plan. Right? Here's the biggest thing. If you plan according to your resources rather than the vision, what you're basically saying is you're limited to what you do have. The vision is always greater than you. The plan, the vision, the purpose is going to be greater than you. It should be legacy. It should not be end when you're over. When it should continue when you're not here. It's what you created as a legacy, and that the others pick it up and continue it. Think about Walt Disney, and I know where people think, but think about him. He's passed. He's dead today, but his vision's still going in Disney World, Disneyland, Disney. It's still one of the largest, but he created a legacy not based on what he had, but where he was going. He bought the property in Florida that was so vast and so large. He basically said they acquired the property that would carry the vision all the way to the end. He didn't start it there, but it is outgrown him. That's vision. And don't build or plan based on resource. Build and plan based on vision. Resources are the ability to accomplish the vision. It's not the plan, right? It's not the means by which I establish my plan. My resources are not. It's greater than me, and I've got to go after it. Here's what I mean. Have an actual plan and write the thing down. Habakkuk 2, write it down. This is how I eliminate plan B, right? Have a plan A first. It's the simplest thing, and no means to insult intelligence, but the reality is most people don't even have a plan A. So it seems like they're just grabbing at straws. No, have a plan, man. Write it down based on vision, not on resources. Go after it. Second thing, how do I eliminate plan B? Number 2 is eliminate the amount of accepted opposition in your life. I wrote it down that way because this is how I see it. You're always going to have opposition. You're always going to have pushback. You're always going to have uninvited problems in your life. But what you must do is eliminate the invited and accepted opposition in your life, right? Here's what you have to do. You can't invite it. That means show me your friends, I'll show you your future. You're inviting people in your life, you're inviting things in your life that are already setting you up for failure. People that don't like you, people that don't agree with you, people that don't believe in you. You're inviting that opposition. You're going to have opposition with resources. You're going to have opposition with the day. You'll have opposition in your community. You'll have opposition in the religious sector. You'll have opposition in the governmental sector. You're gonna have opposition everywhere, and you can't stop that. That's just the nature of life today. But what you can do is eliminate those people in your corner that are not for you. This is what I mean by eliminating the opposition that you're accepting. You must realize there are a lot of people that don't celebrate your life, and they don't celebrate your plan. There are a lot of people in your life that are not in your corner. They're not for you. They are against you. We learn one thing from Jesus's ministry and his leadership is that he had a Judas around him. Always. You always have Judases around you. He knew it. And he knew where they were. That doesn't mean you eliminate everybody in your life. You just know their place. That's the biggest key. He said, one of you are going to betray me and you're with me. And I've known that. He knew that before it even happened. And it's okay to have them around you. You just don't accept them in your inner circle. He was part of their development. He was there in his life, but he knew who he was and he recognized who he was. And here's where you have to have emotional discipline. You get so caught up in a soul tie with people that you invite the Judas into your inner circle rather than keeping them at a distance. We know this. You know who keep your friends close, but your enemies closer? Why? Because that enemy is actually going to advance you. They're going to help you. They're going to point out some things in your life that you need to strengthen and support in your life. This is what we must realize. So here's the thing. Eliminate the amount of accepted opposition. This is the biggest key. Look in your life. Look also what else is in your life. What are your daily habits? This is accepted opposition. What are distractions to your time, distractions to your calendar, distractions to your relationship, the things that we invite. If I could just be very simple today is this. How much time are you surfing on your phone? How much of your social media time? That's accepted opposition. It's taking time and energy away from your plan that you should be chasing after, the success you're going after. All of this stuff, it's not just relationships, but it's the things we add to our life that create distractions, right? It's phone calls, it's entertainment, it's friends, it's time, it's money spent, it's investing things that we shouldn't be investing in. It's all of these things in our life. Get away from accepting opposition. Eliminate some things in your life to propel you to create freedom so you can soar with an eagle and do what you're supposed to do. 1, actually write your plan down and have one. 2, eliminate the amount of accepted opposition in your life. 3, increase the capacity of your inner circle. Increase the capacity of it. Enlarge your inner circle. Enlarge the ability to have people in your life that will help you. I think about Jesus. He taught us so many things. He had groups of 1, 3, 12, 70, and multitudes. We see this with Jesus. He had this in such a way. John, his beloved, was right with him and had his back and understood it. Then he had Peter, James, and John. And that dynamic of relationship was tough, but it was good for the success of Jesus. And who is this inner circle? This is what I'm trying to get you to. You might have a Judas in your 12, but your 1 and your 3 are your key component. You got to increase that capacity of that circle. That capacity of what? Of strength, of help, of correction, of encouragement, of trust. You got to increase that, right? You have to really, really look at that. When you write your vision down, when you write the plan down, you need those people, those 1 and 3 people, the groups of 1 and the groups of 3, they're the ones that are going to run with it. They're going to ones that are going to chase this down. They're going to help propel it. They're going to see it come to pass with you. They're going to support you. They're going to be the Aaron and the Hur, if you will, that uphold your arm as you're fighting and the battle's happening. These are the people. You got to increase that capacity. Strengthen that bond, strengthen that trust level. How do you do that? Create good friction in your life. Give permission to people around you to bring things to your attention. My wife is a great friction in my life. I love her. Nothing against her, but she is not afraid to point out some things in my life, my flaws, the things that maybe other people won't say to me. She will say it to me, and I appreciate that with all due respect because I need a 1 person in my life. I need that. I need that person that's unafraid and unashamed to point out something. That's friction, right? Iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen the accountants of another. You need that, and that's increasing your capacity in that inner circle. Also watch people who are managing their leadership the same way. I need my John and my Peter, James, and John. I need that good friction in my life. And the third part of that increasing the capacity, I need the people in my life that are actually managing their leadership the same way I'm looking to do it. You must have those people in your life. You've got to eliminate people that are just, whatever, having plan Bs. It's fine if it don't work. We'll do something else. I don't need them in my life. I need people that are not altering the plan in their life. They're managing their leadership the same way I'm managing mine. Those people will strengthen you. Those people will get those around you. Find them. It might seem like they're very few and far in between, but they're there. They are there if you're searching for them. And so this is how you increase your capacity. 1, you get your inner circle tight. 2, you create good friction inside that circle. 3, you surround yourself with people who are managing their leadership in the same manner that you want to. to. They have no plan B. They don't have a backup plan. This is the toughest thing in society because it's okay to have a backup plan. We change things constantly, but it shouldn't be that way. Go after what's in your heart, chase it down, because if you give all your effort and energy to one plan, it's sure to come to pass. I promise you. But if you have a plan B, you will end up on plan B because you're creating energy and effort to go that way. 1, have an actual plan. Actually write it down. 2, eliminate the amount of accepted opposition in your life. 3, increase the capacity of your inner circle. And 4, always live ahead of your present location. Always live ahead. Live out in front of it. Don't live in where you are. Everything you're doing today, you should have already dealt with yesterday. What you're dealing with for tomorrow, you're dealing with today. Live out there. Don't live in the moment. If it is what it is, whatever happens, happens. No, you set the course. You set the course of your success by putting in the direction, right? You don't just accept whatever happens. Live in the head of it. Live out tomorrow. Make your plans today that'll affect your tomorrow. Everything you do today doesn't affect today. It affects tomorrow. So live out there. Always live ahead. I'll just give you an example. As I close this episode today, my ministry, we're remodeling our facility. We're moving locations. We gave our facility away. Grateful for that. Abundant Life Church in Radcliffe, Kentucky. Just what an amazing congregation to be able to sow their ministry to somebody else. But I'm no longer, and we're not even in the facility in the date of this recording. I've already planned my next facility, which is a Bible college, full-blown associates in biblical studies accredited Bible college that will eventually become a doctorate program. I've already started planning that, and we're not even in the phase that we're in right now. I just planted a church. I'm taking over a church, and before I even get there, I'm already working on the next part of the plan. It's always been the plan, but I'm living out there. So I'm telling you how you do this. Why? Because if you only live in the moment and are dictated by the day, you'll never grow. What am I saying? Everything living is meant to multiply and be fruitful, but I've got to prepare for the multiplication and the fruitfulness of it, right? The complex adaptive system theory says this, that my organization is an organism which is living and breathing. It's always growing. It's almost like this. If you were raising a child, I remember this with our first couple of children. I have 4, and my first 2, as they were growing through their 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old ages, is that we'd buy clothes, and 2 months later they'd outgrow them. It's like, oh my word, he's growing like a weed, like unexpectedly. The mindset is unexpectedly that he'd outgrow his clothes or she outgrew their clothes. The reality is if I'm planning and preparing for that, I'm buying clothes for every stage. That's living out front. That's what I mean is don't get caught by surprise that your child outgrew the stage that it was in. That's how most people react to their growth. The reality is those are the people that are living in the day. In leadership, if that's you, you're going to hinder and stunt the success of your ministry by living in the day. You've got to live out there. It's always growing. It's always moving. And you've got to live in the ability to manage the growth and the multiplication of there. If you focus on where you are, you will never see where you're going. This is what it looks like. I'm just saying you always got to live out there. And here's what I mean. The law of concentration states this, that whatever you dwell upon grows. Whatever you dwell upon grows. The more you think about something, the more it becomes part of your reality. So what am I saying? You're actually in your reality today. So stop thinking here. Think out there. Concentrate out in front of you what's not there, and it will become the reality. But if you never see past where you are, the law of concentration is what I'm thinking on. Focus on whatever you're focusing on, whatever you got your mindset on, whatever your energy is on, it grows. So I'm only going to have what I have, or I'm going to live out in front of me and I'm going to see that thing come to pass. I'm talking to you about from experience. Our Bible college we've been talking about for 36 years. The means, the ability, the location we're in, the economic status that we're in just doesn't make sense. But the reality is it's the vision of God and we're chasing that thing down. So we're out there thinking of the college and before we even have one student. We're already in the planning stages. Somebody says, well, why don't you just use your church facility? Because that's not what God showed us. God showed us a separate building to invite people to our campus, to teach them and train them, to send them back to what God's called them to do. It's not just for a local community college. This is a global college, and we're starting to plan it, and it requires more space than my own church does. What am I telling you? Whatever I'm focused on becomes the reality. It's the law of concentration. And I'm challenging you, don't allow yourself to be swayed by obstacles that come to hinder your progress. Keep your mind out there. The obstacles will just tell you where you are, but it doesn't dictate where I stay. Allow progress to happen by concentrating on what's not there. By doing this, have a plan. What's the ultimate vision? Write it down. Eliminate the accepted opposition in your life. Increase the capacity of your inner circle, and always live ahead of your present location, where you're at on the way to where you're going. Hey, I appreciate you taking a few moments with me. Have no backup plan. Have a plan A only. Exert all your effort and energy into that plan, and watch God get all over you and everything He's called you to do come to pass. I'm praying for you today that the anointing of God, the divine enablement, get all over you to help you accomplish everything God has called you to do today, in Jesus' name.